Brand new shafts. These are the ones that we just glued the inserts in. Let's see what she does. In the dot, first shot. Yes! Hey everybody, welcome to my archery shop, or like T-Bone like to call it, his dojo, archery dojo. Man, I spent a lot of time in here. I love it. I mean, it's just fun. I love archery, and it's getting that time of year, getting closer to hunting season. As a matter of fact, I was talking with the X-Mark guys the other day, and we were talking this might be a good subject to talk about, since it is getting close to deer season, elk season, and where we're going to start busting out this bow and the arrow. And one thing we always talk about is the bows, but so many times we don't talk about the components. And I think one of the most necessary components to get right is your arrow. So today we're going to talk about arrow setups, or at least my arrow setup of what I prefer when I'm hunting big game animals. Today I'm in the process of building not only some arrows for myself, but some other friends that are coming in. When it comes to arrows, it can be pretty intimidating to figure out what it is that you want to shoot. There's all kind of different brands out there. There's a lot of great manufacturers. There's a lot of great companies that make great arrows. And when it comes to basically what you're looking to shoot, you got to evaluate, well, what are you looking to do? Are you an archery hunter? Are you a target shooter? But inevitably, you still have to have an arrow that matches your bow when it comes to the spine. Now, the spine, if you'll notice, on every pack of, in this case, this ultra arrows, or you can pull it up on the internet, it gives you the perfect spine based on your draw length, your weight, and things like that. So it kind of gets you in that ballpark. And basically, the spine is the strength of that arrow. When it is released, that energy on the knock of that, you want the perfect arrow or the spine that launches correctly, and it helps the accuracy. And if you get under spine, you can get kind of dangerous. So you want to make sure you get it right. So if you look in the case of, say, the back of these ultra arrows, you've got a good spine setup, and you can look, and it's very generic, very easy to figure out what spine you need. So basically all you do is match up, you know, what you're shooting. In this case, you go to your arrow length. So if you got a 28-inch arrow, and you're shooting, in my case, which is I've got about a 20-something inch arrow, 75 to 80, you come over here and correlate that with this, which in my case is about a 26-inch arrow, so I need a 350 spine. 500 is going to be a less stiff spine than the 250. So the higher means the spine will flex a little bit more. So as you get into those lower numbers, it's a stiffer spine. So if you look on my box, I got a 350 spine. I got a 246, which is the diameter of my arrow, and it's already pre-fledged from the factory. All I got to do is cut and put in the inserts, and we're going to go over getting the right FOC and getting those inserts glued in correctly. T-Bonified it, I call it, because T-Bone is the guru. He's always in his dojo trying to figure out the perfect arrow setup. And in this case, some of the arrows that I've had built by T-Bone have had great success for me when it comes to whitetail deer and elk. So in this case, I'm going to build this arrow out based on those specs and FOC that T-Bone has recommended. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So basically, if you get over here to the arrow saw, I've already pre-cut these arrows. So when they come out of your box here, this is what it's going to look like. Essentially, you got a full-length shaft that is not cut. So what I want to do from there, in my case, I know the length of my arrow. I'm shooting about a 26.5 based on this arrow saw. I'm shooting about, I don't know, that's where I got this marked, and I know that's correct. So all you're doing is coming in here in a case like this. You're basically coming to your arrow saw. This thing already's got an eye protector on it, which is really nice. Very simple. You're cutting that to length. Once you cut that to length, and I have another one that's cut to length, you'll have the perfect length. From there, you go to gluing in already that I've had made up with the insert glued in or epoxied in. There's a lot of different adhesives you can buy. Some that you can buy that just, you know, in your basic Lowe's, you can go online and find some that's specific for arrows. But number one thing you've got to do first, you want to make sure, always keep you a jug of denatured alcohol. You want to make sure that when you are fletching these arrows, and in this case already fletched, once you're gluing these inserts, you want to take a Q-tip and clean out any of that carbon and clean that out really good, because you really want this insert to stick and to stay there. This is going to hold a lot of energy, and when you're shooting at targets, you don't want this to pull out. So in this case, I got two arrows that are cut to length. So now, at this point, I want to build, in my opinion, the perfect weight arrow with the perfect FOC up front. Now, by rule, in T-Bone's model, T-Bone is a big fan of FOC, which is front of center. So what I mean by that, when you balance this arrow out, right now it's more back heavy because I have the fletch and the knock. So just like a dart, if you throw into a dartboard, if you think about it, all the weight's up front. You got more accuracy that way. And no matter which way that thing's going, that front of center is going to help it correct itself to fly more true. Now, that's the theory and that's the thought of in physics. Typically, what we have found as a rule of thumb, somewhere in that 470 to 500 grain arrow overall, we have great success. Not only just whitetail or antelope or shooting a turkey, but great penetration from moose even to elk. And a lot of people say, well, no, I would like a little heavier, or maybe I like a little lighter. You can do whatever you want to. What I'm saying is I'm basing what I'm telling you based on my experience of dishing out death and a lot of success on elk and deer. I've had complete penetration on elk. I've had complete penetration on big Midwest whitetail. You're talking from a 700-pound animal, down to a big Midwestern whitetail can weigh anywhere from 250 to 300 on the hoof. So here's the components that's going to go into my arrow. That's going to get to my preferred weight and the proper FOC of what I'm looking for. So essentially, when I finish putting these components together, as you see here, this is your standard brass insert. And then I've got these packages. I got a 50 grain and then I got a 20 grain. So when it's all put together, that's what it's going to look like. So from this point, what I want to make sure I do, I want to make sure that I clean it first. So at this point, you want to take a good compound and put not too much. And you notice it's already kind of tooled out. So with it being tooled out a little bit, that gives you a little bit more of a grab, almost like it's sanded. And I just like to run that around, make sure I got plenty all throughout that particular insert. And then you just want to push it right down. I like to twist it just a little bit. Any excess I wipe off with my fingers. Your hands will be all tacky. So when it's all said and done, literally this contact, our glue, it dries very quickly. So from there, I should have the proper weight of what I'm looking for. So in this case, this is a little arrow holder here that kind of keeps it on there. So keep in mind when I put that on there, for instance, that's 94 grains. So whatever this area is minus the 94 is going to be what my area is. That throws me exactly at where I want to be. So in this case, I've got an arrow that's going to be essentially, and if I want to go a step further, screw what would be my broadhead on. I can weigh this arrow. So 579 minus the 94 is going to put me right around exactly what I was looking for, that 480 grain arrow. You guys already got it. I just never was good at math. 485.2. That is the ultimate, in my opinion, hunting arrow. I've had great success. Now let's talk about that FOC. Notice this arrow. When talk about FOC, so when I watch how this arrow is wanting to fall that way, it's wanting to fall that way, I have to go almost all the way down here and look at that. That's where I'm talking about. You're talking 17% FOC, and that is perfect. This is a perfect dart. Once again, this is a pre-fletched arrow with 2-inch, look like blazer veins on here. I got the inserts, I got the perfect FOC. Based on this, I picked out my spine based on the chart. Now, all we have to do, let's just say, I don't really want these veins. It's a straight fletch, I want a 4-inch fletch. Well, all you got to do is come right here. Same thing, you want to make sure that in this case, this is just a basic Blitzenberger jig. I've got it on a really nice helical. It's not a lot of helical, but in my opinion, it's perfect for what I want to do. Get you some fletch tight or whatever you prefer to fletch your arrows with. It's very simple, it's very fun. Again, I've cleaned this with denatured alcohol, not just the vein, but also my arrow. This is a pretty simple technique. Your arrow's already, in this case, pre-cut. Stick it in your jig, come down, and voila. So now, where I've got this arrow built that I'm ready to rock, I also went, in this case, and I built the same arrow, but in the fletching that I wanted. So when you buy arrows, when you pick at the spine, if you have the right equipment, you can fletch your own arrows, you can request at the pro shop what you want, and you can build your arrows specifically to what you want. The look, the style, the feel, the weight. Obviously, you just got to make sure you get the spine. So now that you've kind of seen what goes into building arrows, we'll go out in the range and we'll shoot a few. All right, let's grab this old black beauty. It's RX-8, let's go shoot a few arrows. All right, knock that knee-high grass down right quick. Shows you I ain't been practicing like I should have been. Brand new shafts, little change. These are the ones that we just glued the inserts in. So let's fire a shot, see what she does. In the dot, first shot, yes! Ain't nothing like some fresh cut arrows when you're thinking about getting into the season. Let me tell you something. Out here shooting on the range is one thing, but when you start putting it in a situation where you're trying to bring home back straps, that's what I'm talking about. They're all right in there. You know, and again, when I'm trying to think of the perfect arrow setup, I want something that shoots pretty flat, but I want it to hit hard. Because obviously, when you're talking about, in a case of an elk, 600, 700 pound animal, a big, mature Midwestern whitetail, even the ones in the South, is not uncommon to weigh 200 pounds plus. You want an arrow that will penetrate, an arrow that the weight and the amount of energy that comes from this string that's transferred to this nock, you want it just perfectly spined, and you want enough weight that this arrow does some major penetration. When you get those components right and you do a little practice, you've got the absolute perfect bow and arrow setup. It's not just called a bow, it's called a bow and arrow. So today we talked arrows, and we're going to be bringing y'all a lot more of these type things if you like them. And if you like them, be sure to go to xmark.com/backyards. There's so many different personalities that cover a wide array of topics and subjects. But thank y'all for watching. Deer season's almost here. Can't complain with that.